Hey everybody, Amy Walker here. I want to start off by giving a huge shout out to Shay for putting together this amazing event. He always does a world-class job with his events, and I am just always honored to be invited. And I'm going to jump right in right now because I got 30 minutes to totally rock your world and help you close more deals. So let me pull up my screen share and let's jump right in and get going. So today I am teaching you the 7 secrets to high ticket sales. We're going to help you close more deals and close at higher price points. If you have ever failed at closing deals at higher price points in the past, I want you to just let that go. You probably did not know all of this information and you're going to be much more equipped by the time we get done. If you've ever been inconsistent with closing high ticket deals, I want you to put those fears to rest. If you've done it once, you can do it consistently. I also want to point out that all of the experts out there that are telling you that you just need to run more ads and build another funnel are not giving you the full picture. Oftentimes, the marketing companies are not really paying attention to if you're actually closing a lot of sales and if you're being profitable. What they're paying attention to is the cost per lead. And it takes more than that to establish a high selling, high converting sales system. So when you leave this session, you are going to be more confident in closing sales. There is really only one way to create consistent higher amounts of sales. You've got to sell more units and you've got to sell more high dollar, and that's really it. It's not a magic formula, but there is a formula for getting to that point, and that's what we're going to share today. So there's 3 things that you will be more confident in when we get off. Number 1 is how to put together and what's expected with a high ticket offer. Number 2, where are the 7 different places that you close the sale? We'll go over that. And number 3, we're going to show you how to handle the pressure and overcoming sales objections. So when you get off, you're going to have a lot more knowledge and insights and information in closing high ticket deals. I encourage you to take notes. I encourage you to eliminate distractions. And also, I love the fact that Shay has provided this platform for you to meet a lot of different entrepreneurs in a short period of time, because it's kind of like you get a taste test a bunch of different people and see what they're like and see if you resonate. And so I would love for this to be a first meeting, not a last meeting. And if any of you are feeling like, yeah, I really need some help with my sales, I encourage you to reach out and let's get connected. All right, let me tell you a little bit about me before we jump into our info. I am a client acquisition specialist. I help small business owners find the simplest, most cost-effective way to consistently acquire new clients. I built my coaching business to 6 figures my first year that we launched. My second year, we quadrupled sales and did over $440,000 in sales. And we have been steady and consistent ever since. I have helped thousands of small business owners across multiple different industries and across multiple different sales platforms in order to stabilize their sales and grow their sales. My work has been featured in Fast Company, in Huffington Post, in US News and World Report, and most recently in American Express. And this is my crew. So I am a mom to 5 boys. They range in age from 7 to 18. My husband and I run our company together. We live in a tiny town where we have, more cows than people, and we absolutely love our life and our business. And it did not start out this way. So when I was a brand new entrepreneur, I was actually terrible at sales, and I really struggled in business to the point where I remember we really had to downsize. And we were living in this 200-year-old farmhouse that had not just 1, but 3 different colors of green shag carpet, because the owners in the 70s were too cheap to recarpet the whole house in the same color of green shag. So we had 3 different colors, and the wallpaper was falling off the walls, and below the wallpaper, there was not even any like drywall. It was just plaster from these 200-year-old walls. And so like chunks of plaster were falling down. It was not a nice place. We did not have stairs that were up to code. It was a farmhouse, so there was lots of mice, and it was not our finest moment. And here we had these 3 little boys, and I was expecting my 4th. And I'd been an entrepreneur for a while. And I remember in this moment thinking, all right, I got to make a choice. And the choice is either I have to figure this out once and for all, or I got to just be okay with where we're at and just learn to say, I'm blessed. My family is healthy. They're happy. We love each other. And that's it. This is what life holds for me, and just be okay with it. And during that time, I actually went on a youth conference trip. I was a leader. We took a bunch of teenagers down to a reservoir, and we were sitting on the edge of the water and having this conversation with these kids about what is that thing that holds them back from being great. What's that mistake or that flaw that they're holding on to, or that fear that they're holding on to? Like, what is it? Identify it. And then we encourage the kids to write it on a rock and bury it in the ground and just leave it behind. And I remember as we're having this conversation, starting to feel in my heart, I was like, you know what? I need this. I need this as much as any kid out here. So I went and I found a rock, and I wrote on that rock, living below my potential, and I buried it. And there was a lot of reasons why at that point in time I had been living below my potential, but one of them was really fear, and another one was lack of skills. And I just was so tired, and I was fed up with living below my potential. And I really did not like the idea of just settling for less. It kind of made me feel a little bit nauseous. So I buried that. I went home, and over the next year, we hit six figures in our business. I hit six figures as an entrepreneur for the first time ever. It was before I had started Amy Walker Consulting, but not long after. About another year after that, we were having a baby boy number 5, and I was starting my own business. And a year after that, my husband and I were able to buy our dream house and move where we wanted to move. He was able to come home and work with me full-time in the business. And so that was really a turning point for me. And I share this story with you because I want to impress upon you that you do not have to live in fear or below your potential. You really don't. You can learn to sell. It is 100% a learnable skill for the vast majority of people. There are some people who do not have the ability to connect and converse with other people. And those are the only ones that I've seen that cannot learn how to sell. Everybody else, you can learn how to sell. I want you to understand as well that it is okay if you were not passionate about sales yesterday, but my hope is that you will leave this session together committed to them. I get it. We don't start our businesses because we dream of being a salesperson. We start our businesses because we want something more in life. And I also want you to understand that your dream life might be just right around the corner. Maybe right now you're in your own version of green shag carpet. And oh, I forgot to tell you as well, this was great too. Because the house was so old, the power was like rigged around the outside of the house, and you couldn't run the toaster and the microwave at the same time. And the kitchen had been built for somebody who was like 5'5". It was so short. My husband couldn't even, he had to duck to fit in there. And we blew that power all the time. It was just, you might be in that version of your life right now. And your dream life might be just right around the corner. But you will have to learn to sell in order to get this business to work for you. And so that is why I'm so committed to sharing with you these skills, because I know this was the start of my transition, and I want that for you as well. So here's what results can look like. This is not just something that only works for me. I want to share with you some client wins as well. So Christine is a mental health professional, and she was charging hourly rates and running insurance. And she shifted into high ticket sales. She was really nervous about how this would work because people are not used to paying in bulk for their mental health and wellness services. So when we made this transition, she closed $12,000 in 1 week with no insurance, no hassle, more committed clients, and she was absolutely thrilled. So even if you're in an industry where you're like, how's high ticket sales going to work for me? We're going to figure it out. So here's what we're covering in our session today: how to create a high value, high return offer that will sell in 2020 and be relevant right now today. We're going to cover how to structure your sales conversation so you get the yes. There are 7 different places that you close the sale. We're going to show you what they are today. And then we're going to talk about, you don't have to pressure anyone to buy, but that doesn't mean that there's no pressure. And you've got to know how to overcome sales objections and how to handle that pressure that kind of naturally comes up. So we're going to share that with you as well. Again, I encourage you to take notes, and I'm curious, let me know in the chat, what are you most excited to learn? All right, let's talk about secret number 1, how to create a high value, high return offer that sells in 2020. So some entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, experts might be thinking, I don't understand how high ticket sales will work for me because the economy is slow and my clients are already struggling to afford my services. So I'm going to share a story with you about Carol, one of my clients. And she was kind of having similar thoughts earlier in 2020, like, okay, everybody's struggling right now. Business is hard. How am I going to make this work? And what we did was we really focused on what is going to be a high value offer first, and then we match it with high price. So there are a lot of people out there, and you guys, this is one of my pet peeves, that are selling high ticket crap programs. And I'm frankly tired of it. I'm sure you've bought them in the past as well, where you paid a lot, but you got a little in return. It's frustrating, and we are not talking about that. That is not what I mean when I say high value, high ticket offer. So what I want you to understand is you're trying to structure your offer, and we'll come back to Carol's story here in a minute. It takes the same amount of effort to close a low price sale as it does a high price sale. I'm not even joking. The same amount of time to get the lead on the phone. It's the same amount of effort to acquire the lead. It takes the same length of time to have the sales conversation. It takes the same amount of time. So you might as well try to sell a high value offer. Also, we are not going to try to sell high ticket products to low ticket clients. There are some clients that need a low price point offer. Sell them a low price point offer, but do it as a downsell. Instead of going after low price point offers, go after high price point offers. And if they can't do it, have a downsell. It's a great way to go. Next, people want big results with the least amount of effort to get there. So right now, stacking your offers with tons of different deliverables in them is overwhelming, more so than it is valuable. So I have a client that I said, okay, we need to put together a $10,000 offer. And she came back to me with just this list of everything she's ever learned or done that she's going to put all together in one. I was like, oh gosh, that's overwhelming. Looks like so much work, looks like so much time. Let's simplify. What is the simplest way that we can get to the outcomes that your clients want? So creating more stuff doesn't mean high value. Creating more results means high value. So let's show you Carol's before and after. So when Carol first started, her positioning was that she teaches tech to non-tech savvy entrepreneurs. So she was bringing in, clients who wanted help setting up their autoresponder and figuring out how to just do basic things like, how do I set up my Facebook page? It wasn't real high value, high return, the work that she was doing for them. So the very first thing we did was we started off and I said, okay, so what kind of outcomes have you created for clients? And then she got excited because she had helped clients do six-figure book launches. She had helped clients launch podcasts. She had helped clients run expert summits that generated six figures for them. And she had done all of these things where they created really clear, really great, valuable outcomes. So what we did was we changed her positioning for who she was offering to. We changed her pricing and we created really clear outcomes. She put together a program, and her first month she sold it for $10,000. Her next month she did $15,000 in sales, and now she is just going strong. That was a big increase for her, and we were super excited about it. And here's what Carol had to say about the experience. Just wanted to let you know, if you don't already, that you are amazing. You totally changed my life with your instruction, belief in me, loving support, and kicking the butt when needed. It's not just the money, it's the ability that I now own to strategically think about how to generate the money. I totally love the podcast I'm doing now and never thought of it as a way to bring in consistent money other than sponsors. Wow. So when you get clear on what the value is and the outcomes that you can produce for your clients, that's when we have the high value, high ticket offer. I'm not just talking about slap a higher price point on your programs. I'm talking about how can you create the most results for your clients. That's what people want to buy today. They want to buy results. Okay, you might also be thinking, I don't understand how raising my prices is going to help me make more money when I'm already struggling to close at lower price points. If you can relate to that statement, just let me know in the chat, because I get it. I remember feeling that way. I was like, I can't close $100. Why am I going to close 1,000 or 10,000? Mind-boggling. So let's talk about this. So here's the truth. Your old offers might not be selling because they're focused on deliverables instead of results. It's something that's very common that I see. Another thing is your offer might be overwhelming or confusing. Maybe you've just thought, okay, I just need to add more stuff into the offer. It's not the right thing to do. You might also be selling the wrong offer for the client's needs. Like you're trying to sell to somebody who doesn't need what you have to offer. All of those things will affect your ability to convert. So take a look at each one and see which one it might be. The other truth bomb that I want to drop for you is that it takes the exact same amount of effort for me and my team to close a $1,000 product as it does a $10,000 product. Same amount of time. You guys, I have tracked this. The sales calls last the same amount of time. The number of follow-up calls we have to do is the exact same because a $1,000 program is the same level of commitment to a $1,000 client as a $10,000 program is to a $10,000 client. But I cannot sell a $10,000 program to a $1,000 client. So when you up level your outcome and you up level what you can produce for them and you up level that price, you also need to make sure that you're working on getting the leads that match that offer. And I hope that makes sense to you because that's a critical piece to it. All right, secret number 2, how to structure your sales conversation so you can get to that yes. We are going to cover the 7 different places that you close the sale. So you might be thinking, because I hear this a lot, I'm just not a natural born salesperson. I don't want to do high pressure sales. Sales just aren't my thing. And if you can relate to that, just let me know in the chat box because I used to say the same things. So there are 7 different places that you close the sale, and let's kind of go through each one of them. Number 1 is in the pre-frame. So this is before they get on the sales conversation. What do they know about you? What are you sending them? What resources? Is there a video? Is there a certain email series that you send? But before they get on that sales call, you want them to be set up for success and thinking good things about this experience they're about to have. So there was a study that was done at, I believe it was Harvard Business School, where they had a guest professor come in and they had a written bio, and they gave the bio, is one big classroom, they gave half of the room one bio, half of the room the other bio. One half, the bio said things like, you know, he was very efficient and a little bit of a reserved demeanor, and it said all of these things that were not necessarily like, you're going to love this guy. And then the other half got a bio that said things like he's warm and engaging and students love his sense of humor, and it was very positive. And the feedback from the half that had gotten the cool pre-frame was that they didn't like him, they felt like he was offensive, they didn't feel like they learned anything, they definitely didn't want to have him back. The ones who got the positive pre-frame thought he was great. They gave him really high ratings, and it was the only difference was that pre-frame. So what are you doing before they get on the call? Before someone gets on a call with me, I want them to know that I genuinely care about their results. I want them to know that I am not going to give them fluff, that I'm a strategist, that I'm going to work hard with them, that they're going to walk away with a game plan. Like I want them to know a lot of these things before they get on that call. So what are you doing there? All right. That happens before the call. The rest of them are happening in the call, and I'm going to be using some verbiage and scripting from my book. It's called the I'm Not a Salesperson Sales Book, How to Sell Like a Natural Even If You're Not. So the next one is your intentions. When I very first get on the call with somebody, I set expectations for the call. And so here's how that sounds for me, and you can tweak this scripting however you want to. I say, I am so excited to chat with you about your business today. So we're going to do 3 things. First, I'm going to ask a lot of questions to understand what your goals are and what some of the challenges are that you're facing. Second, I'm going to give you an action plan. So when we get off the call, you'll know exactly what's going, what you need to do. And then third, if it sounds like we could be a good fit for each other, I'd love to tell you about my mastermind. And so that's how my intro sounds. We're going to create the intention and let them know that a pitch is coming so that they're prepared for it and they're not surprised by it. All right, the next place is when we commit them to change. So in the script, this is after you have been going through discovery and you're asking some deep level assessment questions. You're finding out, what their problems are, what they want. And then we're going to ask them to commit to change. And so we're going to say to them, you know, things like, and again, this scripting is all in the book, and I'm going to give you a chance to get the book for free. But we're going to ask questions like, how long has this been an issue? And what is it costing you? And we're going to get them to kind of go over those things. And then we'll say, well, if you were to, you know, what would you gain by solving these challenges? And then after they say that, then we're going to say, well, it sounds like you've got a lot of reasons why you need to do this. Are you committed? And I'm not talking to them about my program. I'm just talking to them about committing to solve their problem. This is really critical because if they're not committed to solving their problem, then they're not going to be committed to my program. And we have to understand that. Okay, next thing is a problem solution story. So sometimes going at them and saying, here's all of your problems and here's what you need to do to fix it is a little bit too aggressive for people. And they start to build up their defenses. What I want their defenses like coming out, you know, like they're going down one by one. The defenses are getting lowered. And so I use a story here. This is the story where I demonstrate that I've had the problem. I share the emotions around the problem. I share with them what my experience was with finding the solution so that they can see themselves in my story and they can connect to the emotion. We make our decisions based on emotion, not based on logic. Even when we think, no, I'm a logical thinker, we're trying to logic our way to verify what we feel. That's what we're doing. So we want them in their feels. We want them in their emotions as they're making this important decision. The next thing we're going to do is ask for the sale. And this is the thing that people are always worried about. Well, how do I do that? And it's so easy. You just say, so what do you think? Would you like to work with me? Or so what do you think? Is this the right product for you? What do you think? Would you like to get started today? Like it's a really easy question right there. All right, next is overcoming objections, and I'm going to cover that in detail here in just a minute, so we'll go over that soon. And then the last thing is the follow-up. The number one thing that I see people making a mistake in follow-up is they're giving them too long. It does not take a week to make a decision. It doesn't take 2 weeks to make a decision. We make decisions fairly quickly. If you're giving them a week or 2 weeks, what's happening is they're avoiding making the decision for a long time. Their doubts are starting to pile up, and then they still make the decision in an hour or 2 hours. I mean, how long have you ever sat down and proactively worked on a decision for more than a couple of hours? You haven't. We don't do that. So what you want to do is get them to make a decision more quickly. So when I have somebody that says, you know, I really think I want to do this, but I just need to think it through. I just need to make sure that this is the right timing for me. I'll say, okay, great. So let's go ahead and do this. Why don't you just kind of think it over tonight, and then let's follow up tomorrow and see what new questions you've come up with. And when I ask for a quick follow-up, it helps us get to that point of sale so much more quickly, because they don't give themselves all that time for the doubts to creep in. They're just like, okay, let's do it. If they need more time, like they say, you know what, tomorrow's bad for me. I've got a meeting. I know I'm not gonna be able to work on this at all. Okay, great. How about the next day? But I'm trying to get that follow-up to happen quickly. Now, here's another bonus secret. I wasn't going to throw this in, so it's not one of my 7, but here's another follow-up question that I ask that you can write down. So before we get off, I'll say, now I just want to ask one more question though. Like, we'll follow up in 2 days, but first impression, scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, this is definitely not for me, 10 being, absolutely, I'm signing up, and you can't say 5 because that's confusing. Where would you say you're at? And they'll be like, I'm like a 7.5. And I'll say, okay, great. So what's the difference between a 7.5 and a 10? Like, what's standing in your way? Because I'm trying to get to the unspoken objection so that we can talk about it. All right, so that's my follow-up tips. Let's keep moving here. So be really careful about these lies. These are expensive stories, and I always tell my clients, stories are expensive. You can't afford to buy them. So listen for these. I'm not comfortable pressuring people, or I'm not outgoing enough to be successful in sales, or I'm not comfortable on video, or I'm not 100% confident in what I am, or I'm not 100% confident in what I do. You guys, welcome to the human race. Like, that's everybody. We all feel that way. And yet we can learn to be successful in sales. So here's the truth. Whenever people say, well, I'm just not a natural born salesperson, I'm like, cool, because I've never met a baby that can sell. So Sales is a learnable skill. There is no such thing as a person who is just born a salesperson. No babies sell. They just don't. I've had a lot. I can attest to that. Sales is a learnable skill for like 85% of the population. And the 15% that can't sell are also the 15% that cannot connect with other people. They just are not wired that way. So if you can connect with people, you can learn to sell. There is a psychological process that we make when we go through making decisions, and sales is simply making that process happen more smoothly. All right, last secret. You don't have to pressure anyone to buy, but that does not mean that there is no pressure. So some entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches say things like, Amy, I just don't know how to make people feel comfortable while I'm selling to them. Stop trying to make them feel comfortable, and let me explain why. That's not a natural part of the decision-making process. Comfort and change don't go together. And if I think about it, if I'm in my bed with my comfy PJs on and my best blankie on and I'm watching something awesome on Netflix and one of my kids is like, hey mom, you want to take me to the store? My answer is no, because I'm comfortable and I don't want to move. If your people are comfortable, they don't want to move. So you've got to be okay with that. There's this natural process of a little bit of discomfort in the mix. The other thing I want you to understand is the sales objections that they give you have nothing to do with you, your product, your service, your program. Those are the same objections they give to everybody. So if they say, I can't afford it, they tell that to everybody for everything. If they say I'm too busy, they tell that to everybody for everything. It is not related to your product or service in any way, shape, or form. It is their story. And that story pops up for them over and over and over again. And I said this already, I'm going to say it again. Stories are expensive and you can't afford to buy them. So when someone brings up a sales objection, and I'm starting to feel like that pressure build, because it does, when they get to the point where they've committed to change and now you're showing them an offer that's going to help them change, they're starting to feel internal pressure to cause them to move. That's the natural energy flow of the sales conversation. I didn't make it up, right? Like if somebody has no desire to move, there will be no pressure at this point in time because they don't want it, they don't need it, they're happy with where they're at. But if they want the change that you offer, they're going to feel pressure. It's kind of like, if any of you have ever had this experience, I have, of getting on the scale and seeing a number that you're like, holy cow, the last time I weighed that much, I was pregnant. And I am not okay with that number, right? Again, maybe you have not had this experience, I have. And so when that number creates so much pressure for me that I will do something different. So there's a 4-part process to overcoming these sales objections where you don't have to add more pressure to get them to say yes. You just have to know how to manage the pressure and get them to move through the objection. So this works for absolutely any sales objection that you could possibly have thrown at you. The first thing that we do is we acknowledge what they just said. Then we ask them a question, then we get permission to give them more information. And so if they say, well, Amy, I would love to work with you, but I just can't afford it. We say, okay, so it sounds like money is your concern. Is that correct? So we acknowledged it. They say yes. Well, may I ask you a question? If we set money aside for just a minute here, is this the right program for you? And if they're like, yeah, this is absolutely what I need. Okay, well then do I have permission to brainstorm with you and figure out how we might be able to get these payments to work? Because I would hate if money was the only thing that stopped you from getting what you want in your business right now. So that's that 4-step process. And again, this is all covered inside of the book. And I'm going to give you in just a second a link to be able to get it for free. But it goes over there, you know, how to overcome the time objection, the money objection, the spouse objection. So all of that is in there, but this process, what it does is it takes it from the 2 problem ends of the spectrum. So on one end, you have the people who they say, oh, I just can't afford it. Okay, well, but you know what? No big deal. I'm just here to serve. And you know what? When things turn around for you, I'm still going to be here and I'll work with you whenever you're ready. And they don't even try to overcome the objection. And then the other side, you got the people who don't even care that you just gave them an objection, and it's like aggressive. Like, well, I can't afford it. Well, you got on this call. You knew it was going to cost money. What were you thinking? Like, it's super aggressive. So you want to be in the zone that is not wimpy, but is not overly aggressive, but it just helps them get through that process. Because here's what I know. That story has nothing to do with me. That is the story that keeps them stuck in their life over and over and over again. My job is to help them get over their obstacles so they can be successful. My job as a salesperson is to get the client what the client wants. And that requires that we get those obstacles out of the way. All right, I want to share with you another case study here. So Aaliyah came to me because she was not enjoying her sales conversations. She was closing, but she knew she was leaving money on the table, and the closing was awkward. She didn't know how to overcome the objections, and it seemed like the calls were not ending on a high note. So here's what we found. She was using really masculine scripting with a feminine audience. The overcoming objections process that she had been taught was very confrontational. And she was so excited to realize that there was a better way to do her sales conversations. Now she's excited for her sales conversations instead of dreading them. And she is a very recent client. So we just barely started this process. So I can't tell you what her numbers are, but I can tell you that dreading your calls versus being excited for your calls makes a huge difference in how you come across on those calls. So here's the lie that you have to be high pressure to win in sales. It's absolutely not true. There is a natural pressure that it comes when you're making decisions, but you don't have to create it. It just comes because they want something different. The best closers are really great at helping people move through their obstacles. All right, you guys, I said I was going to give you this gift, and I want to give you this gift. I'd love to give all of you a copy of this book for free. In here, it has training on your mindset, how mindset plus skill set plus action is the success formula for sales. It's going to teach you how to qualify your leads. It's going to teach you how to sell to indecisive people, how to know your numbers and what you should be tracking in sales. It's going to teach you how to overcome objections with time, with money, with spouse, plus more. And also in here in the back of the book are my high converting six-figure sales scripts. And so you get those sales scripting templates. So if you want the book, all you need to do is go to www.salesaremything.com. And I encourage you to do that now, like right now, before the next speaker comes up, salesaremything.com. Go get the book for free, and you can start working to get your high ticket sales offer and system coming together like right away. You guys, this one makes the biggest impact in the shortest amount of time. All right, back to you, Shay and team. Thank you all so much for having me.